Good afternoon. Hope you are having a wonderful afternoon. This session of Tea at Two and Writing, we're going to talk about how do you organize all your ideas. Okay, you've landed on an idea, you think it's going to be fabulous. You have already brain dumped everything you know about this idea. Now, how do you organize what you know so that it'll move into a book format? You start by using an event line. That's one way. And for an event line, I take cash register or adding machine tape because it's long and narrow and I can put it up where I can see it. And I start with the one action that motivates my character to do something. So, what motivates my character? Why are they going to do something? Something has happened, something has gone on that makes your character take action. That's the first one. Okay, so they take action. What is the result? Does the result come with a complication? Or does it come with a need to take more action before you can resolve the first issue? That's your next event. And you move your events all the way down your line until you have your conclusion. Now, you may not have all your events yet because you may have to see how your character interacts with other characters in the book. Oh, yeah, there are more than one character in a book. Um, so that's one way. Another way is to sit down and outline. When you outline your story, every scene has an outline and a chapter number. Hey, when I outlined my book, Rescue Mountain, I had 138 chapters in the outline, not in the book. Book has maybe 38 chapters. Huge difference. And you're going, what in the heck did you do? I learned that some of the scenes can go in the same chapter as another scene. And when I did that and it started flowing together as a book, then I only had 38 chapters. But that 38 chapters gave me a chance to flesh out my characters, give my scenes some vivid descriptions, to watch the characters interact. And when my dad read it, he thought it was the best book I had written yet. High praise from a man who read all my books. And sometimes he liked them and sometimes he didn't. And that was okay. Because not everyone's going to like every book you write. The other thing you can do is what I normally do. I have this idea in my head and I have an idea of what I want the outcome to be. And I sit at my computer and I just start typing. I am what they call a pantser. I write by the seat of my pants. Yes, I can do event lines. Yes, I can outline. My preferred way of doing it is to sit down and write. And it takes a lot of practice to get to the point where you can just sit down and write. Okay, I had written several books before I took a James Patterson course in which he outlines, and so I outlined my book, Rescue Mountain. It was written during that class. It's not a real thick book. 38 chapters kind of doesn't buy you much, but it's complete. And you have to have subplots. What's going on in your character's life outside of what's happening in the book? In my Macy McVannell series, Macy is falling for a police officer. Oh, wait, she's one too. Her former fiance died in the line of duty. So she's real hesitant to get involved with another police officer. Makes good sense. Very good sense. However, that's all underlying. That's not the main part of the book or any of the books. It's how her relationship with this officer develops. Hmm. Excuse me, I thought I was going to sneeze. You have to have some subplots. There need to be twists and turns. And every now and then I'll be writing along and go, plot twist, because something is happening that I hadn't planned, but it works. And if it works, oh, by all means, use it. If it's totally out of character, lose it. If you're going to do plot twists, they have to make sense in the way you've developed your character, in the way the story's flowing. A plot twist cannot be out of character. If it is out of character, everyone who reads your book is going to say, why in the world did they do that? This isn't the character I thought they were presenting to me. So it's important to know your characters well. Take your main character, go online and find a job application, any old job application. Print it out, fill it out as if it's your character. Characters need a first and a last name. I don't care if you throw one in the middle. That's fine. They need a birth date, a month, a day, and a year, so you can establish how old they are. Now, you're writing fantasy. Your character may not have a last name. I wrote a flash fiction fairy tale about a fairy named Twitter. They call her Twit for short because, yeah, she is exactly that. She's a twit. Twitter does not have a last name because fairies don't. She appeared again in a short story entitled Twitter and the Spider. I have had requests for more Twitter stories. I am working on those. If you are writing fantasy, you may not have last names, but you must have character descriptions so I know what your character looks like. I started reading a series of books. I had the first two. They were horrible, and yet they were award-winning books. They were horrible. There were two girls in the book, the first one. I never got far enough to see if they met. They each had first names. Neither of them had a description. Were they blonde, blue-eyed? Were they green-eyed redheads? Did one have, bright red streaks in her dark hair? Were they black, white, green, yellow, purple with spots? I have no idea. Were they tall, short, fat, thin, or somewhere in between? Were they supermodel material? I never got a description of the first one, much less a last name. When the second one is introduced with a first name and no description, do not leave descriptions to the author's mind. That's a really, really bad thing. Do not take me halfway through the book where I have first and last names and I have descriptions somewhat. And then halfway through the book, tell me, oh, yeah, the girls are black. If race is an issue in your book, it needs to be up front, not halfway through the book. Because by that time, I've already decided what they look like based on your early descriptions. And then I find out I'm wrong. You need to be thorough, guys. If it's a period piece, look up the costumes, look up the dress of that time period so that you're describing the right type of clothing. By the way, regal kings and queens don't wear red. Royalty wears purple. Just so you know. The big capes with the white fur, they should be purple. They should probably have some kind of gold inlay in them and the pattern on the cape. It is not necessary by any means for them to be wearing red. Now, if it's a ball gown, yes. Yeah, a queen or a princess could wear red. Yeah. But the regal ornate capes that they wore, purple. Purple is for royalty. In case y'all didn't know. Do your research. If you are creating a town, map it out on a piece of paper. Who's going where? How are they getting there? What are the street names? What are the stores or businesses on those streets? Where's the police department? What does it look like? Is it connected to the courthouse? Across the street from the courthouse? 2 blocks down from the courthouse? And the courthouse needs a description. If you want your town to be believable, draw it out on a map. Describe it. Let people know. Don't leave it to their imagination. Don't ever leave it to their imagination. Because what they imagine and what you were thinking are not necessarily the same. Details, folks. The writing is in the details. Now, don't get so bogged down with description that you lose the story. That doesn't work. No. Description and story have to go together. I read a book. The young girl was staying with her grandparents. And by young, late teens, I think. It's been a while since I read the book. I can't remember the name of it. But around the windowsills, it smelled like peppermint. And every time it rained, there was a stronger smell of peppermint after, like the day after. Peppermint around windowsills and door frames keeps the bugs, the mice out. They do not like peppermint. And it wasn't an overpowering sense of peppermint. It was just a gentle sense of peppermint, scent of peppermint that she would smell as she was looking out the window or sitting in the window seat. And it was something her grandmother did at least once a month. She scented the windowsills. Now, do you want to know if it's true? I can tell you right up front, it is. Mice, spiders, insects do not like peppermint. And they will avoid it. Oh, yeah, it's not something they want to be around. So, get out your peppermint scented essential oil, mix it in a spray bottle with some water, and spray it around. If you are someplace that has bugs, that'll work. I don't know if it's as good as the Orkin Man, but it works. I've done it. It works. Details. Put details into your ideas. Put them in an order. One event follows the next event, follows the next event until you get to the climax or the story changer, the conclusion. Yeah. It's like you're climbing a hill to get to this apex in your story that solves your problem and starts you on your downward slide to your ending. So you start here, you go uphill, you get to your point, and then you move downhill to where you end. Happy writing.